G'day everyone, welcome to Footyology Final Siren after another cracking Friday night game. No, I jest. It wasn't a cracking Friday night game. Certainly an emphatic win to Essendon over Adelaide and a pretty dismal night for the Crows. They in fact recorded their lowest ever score in 30 seasons of AFL football. Shocking night for them, to be honest, and a final margin of 63 points. So Essendon hanging in there in terms of the final eight, and Adelaide, well, like I said, the only way is up. They have made some gains this year, so good discussion point for any Crows fans who have decided not to slit their wrists and jumped on here instead for a bit of a debrief. Tell us what you think is going on with your side, where they're at, how much work they still have to do. Bomber fans, how impressed were you with that performance and the year overall? Any observations about the game, and in fact, any observations of any kind about football and perhaps even other stuff later on if we get desperate. But a lot to get through. First, as I say, very good evening to my Footyology Final Siren co-host, Mark Fine. Well, let's not sugarcoat it, Finey. It was a bit of a crapola game, let's be honest.
I was watching with some family members who aren't devoted football fans, Ro, and we were speculating that if Australian rules football had just been invented and Friday night was a reality show where football codes from around the world were showing their wares, they wouldn't be invited back. They'd be out in the first round. They weren't scaling Mount Midoriana with that game. And I feel a bit for Essendon because they actually dispatched Adelaide like a top four team. They never got out of first gear, really, and they annihilated them. But with Essendon returning to Friday night football, they probably would have liked to and could have stuck their teeth into a meatier opponent, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, I almost thought towards the end, Adelaide almost sort of dragged Essendon down to their level a bit, in that Essendon just got a little bit sloppy. Well, they were a bit sloppy anyway. I've got to admit, like I do follow Essendon for those unaware. I can't remember the last time my team's won by as much, and I've found it as unsatisfying, really. I mean, not that they were bad. I mean, they certainly did what they needed to win, but boy,
you should be. Sorry, Ro, I've got to jump in. You should be very satisfied with that back line now. I mean, not just satisfied, absolutely not only have faith in them, absolutely comfortable with the fact that that is a unit of high quality. I thought they even out-adapted expectations tonight with Redmond joining in as a huge improver in 2021.
Oh, yeah, no, look, don't get me wrong. I think it's been a terrific season for Essendon comparatively. And the back line, almost the key to it, and I guess the greater consistency of the midfield. Forward line's still an issue. Cale Hooker, if he was a racehorse, they'd just about be bringing the screen out at the moment. He looks old and tired and sore. So I was a bit surprised he wasn't rested for this week, to be honest. But look, there's been some great gains made by the club this season, absolutely. And, again, I keep saying this, but whether they make finals or not, I really don't think that is a barometer of how successful a season it's been. I in some ways, I'd almost prefer they missed out than get in and get smashed, which would sort of, dampen the ledger a bit, because the gains have been quite obvious. Anyway, look, all that on the agenda. Anything you want to talk about, we'll throw it open. Jump on and get your questions in. We've got a few, but it's a bit slow going. So if you've had trouble before getting a question asked or answered or commented on, now's your chance, because we've only got a few there at the moment. In the meantime, let's go through the details of tonight, starting with the quarter-by-quarter scores. And they showed that the Crows only 2 behinds to quarter time. The Bombers inaccurate, could have had a much bigger lead a lot earlier than they did, 2-5-17 at that first break. Found their radar a bit better in the second quarter, 4 goals to just 1 to the Crows. And one goal.
What do you mean, just 1? That's as good as they go. That was their equal best quarter.
Well, true. 1-1 for the quarter. No, in fact, the third term, Adelaide managed 1-4. So that was, in fact, their best quarter. It's a dismal scoreline. 3-quarter time, it was up to 9-12 to 2-7. And then the final scores, Essendon adding 2-6 in the last quarter. So probably could have had close to a 100-point win if they had their kicking boots on. The final scores 11-18, 84, 63-point margin over Adelaide. 2-9, 21. The goal kickers and best for the Bombers. Just the one multiple goal kicker in that tally, and that was 3 to Archie Perkins, who I think fair to say probably played his best game for the club tonight. Could be a Rising Star nomination perhaps out of that, depending, of course, on other performances this weekend. But very lively, up forward, kicked a lovely check side snap in general play. That was his third goal. Singles to Hooker, Stringer, Wright, Waterman, Jones, McDonald, Tipperwoody, Snelling, and Wright. And for the Crows...
Rowan,
yeah,
because Wright kicked a goal and then another goal, I reckon he's a multiple goal kicker.
What was the other goal?
You've got him down for 2 singles. He kicked 2.
Oh, have I really? I stuffed the scores up. I did too.
That's all right.
Damn it. It's the first time I've done that all year. You didn't have to bring it to everyone's attention.
He surprised you.
Okay. And for the Crows, well, just 2 goal kickers. Couldn't get them wrong. Schonberg and Murphy. The best, as voted by you, Finey, Redmond, Merritt, Ridley, Hind, Perkins, Wright. I would say apologies to Laverde, who I thought was terrific in defence. And I thought McDonald, Tipperwoody was pretty instrumental up forward as well. So I would have snuck them in, I think. And for the Crows, Schonberg, good tagging job on Darcy Parish, kept him comparatively quiet. Laird, Seedsman, Kelly, Smith and Keys rounding it out for the Crows. All right, people, what do you think of those best? Get your comments in. We've got plenty now, so let's start zipping through them. David Haley says, that was the worst game of football I've seen in a long time on a Friday night. So bad I turned off and watched the Foo Fighters in Madison Square Gardens a few weeks back. Check it out, Rowan. I think I have, David, actually. It rings a bell, that one. I've certainly seen their gig in Hyde Park from 2009 or 10 or whenever it was. Don Rusco, are the Dons flat track bullies or just young? Against the top 8, we really buckle. Well, I think it's the latter, Don. I mean, Finey, I'll get your comment on this, but watching Port Adelaide, Melbourne last night, I tweeted something similar, which is, everyone's sort of going, well, Port can't beat the top sides and routinely beat the sides beneath them. And, I had a good look at Port last night and I thought, well, their defence is handy and their forward line, I think they're 4th for points scored and they're 4th for fewest points conceded. Their midfield is okay, but, sometimes as a collective, you're just not as good as the teams above you. And I think that's about where they're at. And drawing the analogy with Essendon, I think this is where Essendon's at. We've seen that they're a little bit short of the mark up against Melbourne and Geelong the last 2 weeks. But, aspiring good sides are able to deal with inferior opposition. And over the last 10 years, that has routinely been a problem for the Bombers, giving up games that they shouldn't. I don't think that's happened this year. In fact, unless there's one I'm not thinking of, they've lost to Brisbane, to Port, they lost to Sydney by a kick, GWS by a kick, someone else they lost to by a kick. But, there haven't been any shockers against teams they are expected to beat. So I think from that perspective, the trajectory is definitely up.
In building a team that is going to play finals, win finals, top 4, and have an assault on the flag, I can assure you, who sent that SMS in? It was a good SMS, good discussion, good fodder.
Don Rusco.
Yeah, so Don, the first thing that a coach and coaching staff will want to guarantee is beating the teams underneath you, because you can't build on your form if you're dropping games to inferior opposition, even if you pick them up by surprising teams above you. You plant yourself on the ladder and don't go lower by putting away bad teams. So It's not flat track bully. That's a silly. I'm not having a go at you. That's a silly term, flat track bully. There's nothing flat track about coming out and dispatching Adelaide with aplomb. It's the same team that beat Melbourne this year, Adelaide. I know it was earlier. I know it was with Walker, but the fact remains, Essendon it shows a sign of absolute maturity, I believe. And I said they put them away like a finals or top 4 team. It's a sign of maturity that this team that was so flaky last year, Essendon, super flaky, is a bankable commodity. That's how you get into finals in years to come.
They haven't had that consistency for a long time, no doubt about that. Nicholas Devereaux says, agreed, RoCo, it was hard to watch. Umpires looked after us too. Backline were thumbs up. It's my bent thumb. I've got a weird-shaped thumb.
That is weird.
It is weird.
You
It's almost double-jointed.
didn't show me that when we started out on this venture together. I didn't know you weren't perfect.
I didn't do that. Let's not flick the switch to vaudeville quite yet. Bo Kelly says, Leroy, speaking about vaudeville, Leroy Jones says, Frampton looked good early but didn't come alive. And for anyone 50 or older, that is a reference to Peter Frampton, or Frampton Comes Alive, a big live double album from 1976 featuring the far too frequently played Show Me the Way. Bo
Peter
Kelly,
Frampton, overrated crap.
Peter or Billy?
Peter.
Well, Billy's got some major kicking issues.
Yeah, I mean, Billy's such a long-term project that you need a few seasons to get him right, because he's attacked. But I tell you what, he's not as easily moved around as he was early doors. So maybe there is a spot for him in footy.
It's interesting you say early doors. I was having a discussion with someone. What does that actually mean, early doors? Anyway. Bo Kelly says, at the game, not sure what it looked like on TV. Yeah, pretty dire.
Can I ask Bo Kelly a question?
Well, yeah, I don't know if you can answer immediately, but yep, go on.
My theory is that actually the coldest ground in football since Waverley, and almost as cold as Waverley, is Marvel on a really cold night.
No, that's true.
Yeah, actually, it's like living in a fridge. I want to know how cold it was there tonight.
Well, you could see the sort of foggy, a little bit of foggy, misty stuff early on, couldn't you? And I thought, what's that about? And then I realised the roof was open. So, look, maybe some of the sloppy ball handling was there's a bit of dewy stuff going on there. Simon McNabb says, who's coaching the forwards at Essendon? If they had good structure, imagine the scoreline, second highest scoring team this year. I don't know that the structure itself was poor. I think it's more about the personnel. You've got Jones, a very raw key forward. Cale Hooker looks like he needs a spell before his spring campaign. Certainly be running the sprints. It won't be running the sprints. And Peter Wright, yeah, he's frustrating, isn't he, 2 metre Peter? Although he was okay tonight, but
I thought he was good.
Doesn't hold enough of his marks, I don't reckon.
The structure, I mean, honestly, all teams sort of structure up roughly the same. It's how the ball is delivered into inside 50. What is the suggestion that Essendon could score 20 goals a week, except the forwards all huddle together around the behind post and don't leave there? They look like any other team, don't they, structurally?
Yeah. And look, given that the forward line has certainly looked pretty impotent last week, the fact that they have scored so consistently, well, they're certainly getting more from out of the midfielders, I think. Merritt's kicked more, Parrish has kicked plenty of goals this year. You've got guys, probably got more players operating as forwards/mids. And what happened there, Finey?
Took a tumble there.
Okay. As I was saying, probably got more guys operating as forwards, mids, Langford, Stringer, etc. So they've got more goal sources now, and the goals tonight sort of underline that, don't they? You've got 2 multiple goal kickers, and then how many? I'm not even going to add up. 7 single goal kickers.
But it's actually a really good point, because when you've got a player like Stringer who has the capability of being a kick 5 goals in a game, which in the modern form of football is a really big bag, then your forwards really just need to be good contributing forwards that can hit the scoreboard 1 or 2 goals a week. That's enough in the modern game, isn't it? When you've got a really big power midfielder. That's how Richmond pretty much function.
Oh, well, and the Bulldogs too. I mean, you've got, Bontempelli's a great example of a midfielder who now is a routinely a goal scorer.
Yeah, and Dunkley at the start of the season when he was in.
Yeah. Let's keep zipping through. Jared Smith, Adelaide, probably lucky the margin wasn't triple digits. Probably Perkins' best game so far. Agreed.
That last quarter was so slack by Essendon. If they had killer in them, they really could have actually made it a 100-point victory in the last 20 minutes. I think they just
11-18 didn't help either. David, however, Bombers' young guns very impressive, and they've built their midfield depth. Well, I guess when you're looking at upside, I mean, you're looking at a midfield that's functioned pretty well this year, but lately hasn't had McGrath, hasn't had Shield basically all year, hasn't had Caldwell basically all year. So throw them into the mix, and then you start getting more flexibility with what you do with players. I'll tell you one guy, I know he's become a bit of a whipping boy, but one guy who, when those players I just mentioned come back, his place in the side is going to be in jeopardy, and that's Devin Smith. They just don't get enough out of him.
Yes, I agree.
And it's almost like he's been a little bit disenfranchised by the improvement of Parrish and some of those other younger players like Perkins coming into the mix. So need to find a role for him. Maybe he can be that pressure forward.
Well, on that, he's a utility player because he gets thrown on the ball and he does play pressure forward and goal kicking forward. And I think very wisely, Essendon have picked up utility players this year that are a foot taller than him. Now, I think that is superseding the model, isn't it? Really, when you've got such tall, rangy and mobile players that can play forward, across the wing or in the middle, I think you'll go with that. I've got a question for you, Rowan.
Yeah.
Look, opposition was Adelaide, so we have to temper the ebullience, but that back line looked complete to me tonight. And of course, it was the first time this year that the captain wasn't in the back line. I think the captain's had a very good year, Dyson Heppel. Could he, when he comes back, and I don't know how long he's out for, but could he just go back into the midfield rather than the back line?
No. He's too slow, and his kicking doesn't have enough penetration. And he's sort of remade himself on the halfback flank. I think he's had a really good season.
Yeah, I just remember against Melbourne, he pushed forward, took that good mark. Maybe he could kick a couple of goals a week.
Yeah, look, I mean, having that flexibility will be a plus for them, and that's it's been a bit of an issue with the amount of injuries they've had, and they haven't necessarily got a whole heap of young talent still to push through either, like Zach Reid, for example, who's played one game this year. He's now out for the rest of the season with stress fractures of the back. So, I mean, with the more senior guys, there's a few options there. All right, David says Merritt BOG by a long way. Peter Feedy.
No.
All right, okay. Peter Feedy says AFL bit off more than they could chew by adding the Thursday night game this round when it was originally set to start on the Friday night. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not sure they've sort of said officially what's going to happen with Thursday nights. I think there's a reasonably popular consensus that we should stick with Thursday night, but I don't know if that's going to make things easier or harder with the COVID complications, which don't really look like easing anytime soon, not with the situation in Sydney continuing to flare up the way it is.
Let's talk about Thursday night for a minute. Remember, there's also Monday night this week.
Well, hang on, let's just get through a few more of these, then we'll talk about Thursday night.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Eamon Jarrett, great to see Essendon's forward 50 pressure with 20 tackles inside 50, unheard of at Essendon over the last 5 years. We overused the ball going forward, though, which would have been punished and turned over against a better side. Good comment, Eamon, I agree. Joe Charbine, the biggest thing about the rise of Parrish is he's now copping the tag to release Merritt. with Caldwell and Shield to come back into the middle, it's looking like a dangerous engine room. Another good comment.
And McGrath.
Adrian Hawthorn in round 1. That's the other game Essendon lost by 1 point, infamously. Dan Fancher and our mate Johnson Von Trapp both point out that early doors refers to the early opening times of British pubs. There you go. I think someone had told me that, actually. I should have remembered. Simon Morris says, I would love to see the Resi's comp revised. So many benefits of a good second-tier competition. Thoughts? All right, Finey, give us a thought on that one.
Yeah, the AFL should have their own reserves competition and not have poor old Preston Bullens 22nd on the VFL ladder. Stupid, selfish. If the AFL need to manage their own player lists and provide a competition in and of itself so that there's a feeder competition and a place for players that don't make the seniors to play, because they have dicked around and destroyed the VFL. Sandford and Waffle are obviously weaker for their impositions. Tasmanian football's in tatters. And if the AFL don't think that they're responsible for this, I mean, as for the quaffle and was it the New South Wales AFL? What was the original New South Wales competitions? They've been absolutely, stripped bare. There's nothing to be proud about for the AFL in what they've done to the second-tier competitions in this country.
No, they've used the Victorian one as a bit of a lab rat, and I think that's reflected in the sort of overall lack of interest. Now, finally, Philip Van Dam suggests you get your glasses because you're squinting.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Chris Manuel says, who are Essendon's 3 best kicks into the forward 50? I think that is their real issue. That's a fair point. Well, if you're asking genuinely, I'd say McDonald, Tipungwuti, and McDonald, Tipungwuti.
But what if he's in the 50 when
that's
when it happens?
Well, I think, to be fair, I think Merritt's, I haven't seen his score assists this year or involvements, but I reckon Merritt's tidied up his disposal this year. I reckon it was getting a bit sloppy, and he's pulled that in a bit. I think Langford's pretty reliable kick.
Yeah, I thought that's where Redmond impressed me.
Yeah, well, coming off half back. But look, that has been, I know there was a lot of, internally, there was a fair bit of angst about Essendon's midfield's ball use over the last couple of years. So, and, unfortunately, Shield and Smith didn't necessarily help that. I thought Stringer was pretty decent again tonight. We talk about his inconsistency, but I think by his standards, I know he was All-Australian in 2015, but this would be one of his more consistent seasons, I reckon.
Yes, for me, he's Essendon's most dangerous player, a match winner. And that's the other thing about Essendon not beating teams above them. If they can, as a group, put in an even effort against a top team and be in striking distance, which they have been many times this year. They led Richmond in the last quarter over in the West. Stringer can just take a game away from anybody. And that's really how some of these games between top teams are decided now, aren't they? Bontempelli, a Martin. Now, for Stringer, there's 2 problems. 1, he's a bit injury prone. Or 3 problems. Can be a bit selfish. And 3, he's got to be playing for Essendon next year to be an effective Essendon player.
Yeah, he will be. They'll sort that out. Digby Norton says, random comment tracking back to what you talk about in the podcast with regards to Richmond's woes this year. I do feel like Jake Arts has improved. Spot on, Digby. And I think it came up actually in this show last week. We talked about, who's improved for Richmond? He definitely has. I'm not sure you'd add anyone else to that, though, would you?
I reckon Rewald's better this year than he's been until the last couple of weeks. I think Rewald's been fantastic, but that's just a bit of a smart ass because obviously he's at the end of his career. And it's just a little Indian summer as he heads towards retirement. As far as players who were on an upward curve in their graph, I think Jake Arts is a good call. And I don't think there's anybody else. I think Shea Bolton was tracking really well early to even, eclipse last year, but he's stopped to a dead halt, hasn't he? There's nobody. And I've got a key mate who's a Richmond supporter who told me, and I started watching, and now he's not in the team, that Nick Vlaston has gone backwards at 10 million miles an hour. He said he's taken some decent marks, but since coming back from injury, he's been absolutely hammered by his opponent every week.
Yeah, they've got a few struggling. Campbell Faring says, Dons to trade draft picks this year for ready-made talent. RoCo, thoughts? No.
No.
I wouldn't be. Well, no, look, I mean, it depends on who's available, but I think the gains from hitting the draft hard are so obvious this year, aren't they, that they'd be silly not to make that the primary plank of their recruiting. Doesn't mean you can't trade in one or two, but it's got to be the right guy. I mean, I keep hearing these. I keep hearing these suggestions about Mason Cox.
Who is driving this bullshit I get every week on my news feed about Essendon? I've had Harry Mackay, Ben Mackay, Ben King. Every week there's another. I don't know if it's just my news feed, because of course news feeds tailor differently to different people. But every week I get these articles. Essendon must go all in for this player. What's go all in? Who's writing this crap? It's not a poker game. And your opinion, these kites that are being flown by God knows who. Well, I do know who, because half of them are by, the biggest mouth in football, the vacuous Kane Corns.
Well, that's how you solve the problem, Finey. You stop following Kane Corns.
I'm not following Kane Corns. This crap comes up on my news feed.
Okay, well, that happens because what Kane Corns says gets written up as a news story either for SEN or Fox Footy. Unfortunately, both SEN and Fox Footy, as far as Twitter goes anyway, have become two of the biggest purveyors of football clickbait. And it's got to the stage where Sam McClure, and let me just say very clearly, I've got a lot of time for Sam McClure. I think he's a pretty good footy reporter. Even he, because he ironically appears on one of those shows, Footy Classified, he's sort of bemoaning it and saying, how long is this going to go on for, where half the football news diet consists of what some former player said on a panel show? Well, the media outlets who keep dishing out this crap have got to stop doing it. And good luck with that, because clearly they get enough clicks out of it. But, it's a...
I'm glad you used the word diet. Why I'm glad you used the word diet?
Because I need to go on one?
Absolutely not, because all of this to me is like a slovenly troll who just eats Maccas. And it actually is, in a way, being fueled by Maccas, because the biggest player in this new sensational roundabout, merry-go-round of, comment becomes news story, becomes sensational reaction to news story is the next story. It really does emanate a lot from, I don't know what it's called now, Pacific Star, Croc Media,
Sports Entertainment Group.
Okay, Sports Entertainment Group, and we know that much of their spread is funded by a major deal with McDonald's. So it is like fed on fast food, this absolute uninformative, dullard crap. But then again, we live in a world where one show, farmer wants a wife is replaced by a wife wants a farmer. I saw the new show, Geek. That's the big one. Dating a geek. I mean, the world is, if we are trying to make this generation so dumb that we are going to get, this planet could get overtaken by Mars, and Mars is uninhabited.
All right, we'll get back to that one because we've still got footy.
Just on Thursday night football, Rowan. It's an extension, but I want to make a comment on Thursday night footy. People say
on Mars or here?
Yeah, actually, talking about Mars, there's going to be an event on Mars where, again, no people will inhabit, but that's Gold Coast GWS. So the Thursday night football discussion where people go, I really like Thursday night footy. I like Thursday night footy. You know what they're saying? They don't like Thursday night footy. They like watching it on TV better than what else is on. It's just a TV show for people.
Correct.
I mean, they don't like Thursday night football. They like turning on the TV and there's footy there for them. That should not be a motivator to schedule games on Thursday night. People are confusing TV with the sport.
But it is funny because the balance has long since shifted towards TV audience rather than live audience. There's no question about that.
Well, the tail is wagging the dog in this case, Rowan. And when a dog lifts its tail, what comes out next?
I do. All right, now I'm going to read a series of comments here, perhaps 10 or 12. Neither of us are going to pass comment. I'm just going to read these comments because they're all pretty self-contained. Okay. Unleash the Geesh says, Draper's run out of the stoppage was something. Awkward, but something. IOU1 says, Devin Smith's greatest asset is giving lip to the umpires. Ryan says, how bad was Smith pushing the second gamer after holding the ball when he didn't even tackle him? Jan Lazinski says, Tex Walker, he needs to go around next year for Adelaide to be competitive. Thanks 1138 says, Crows fans eviscerated Port last night. Siri, what is poetic justice? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right.
Poetic justice. That is justice meted out poetically. Siri's a bigger waste of time than the rest of them.
I hate Siri. Joe Charbine. Gleeson did a great job tonight covering for Heppel. I'm still not 100% convinced of Stewart in defence. Like Smith, he gives away too many silly free kicks. Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I'm still not convinced about Stewart in defence.
That free kick he gave to Thilthorpe holding his arm, that's just lazy. I know the game was over and it didn't mean anything. I thought to myself, mate, you're not a certainty in this team. In fact, your AFL career's not a certainty. You're certainly good enough to be an AFL player. How weak is that? Your opponent's about to go, not for a certain mark, he's going to hold his arm. Didn't like that.
All right, let's keep going. No response, just comments. Scooter, a man who knows his Essendon Football Club, says Redmond is going under the radar a bit, but having a sensational year. Yeah, in fact, in many ways, I think it's probably better than his 2019. Sorry, I commented. Austin Phillips.
Got yourself.
Anyone think Harrison Jones moves a bit like James Hird? Yeah, a bit premature. Oh, I did it again. Sorry. Josh McKelgan was happy to see two battlers in Cutler and Gleeson come in and do all right. Michael.
I'll get you, Cutler.
Michael, he was. I'll tell you what, it was his best game for Essendon by some measure,
wasn't it? Yeah, I agree.
Michael Pern, Hind is a good kick inside 50. Our forwards aren't leading up though. That's also from Michael. Johnson Von Trapp, Tom Duday, crazy or courageous? Yeah, okay, let's talk about that one quickly. Yeah. I'll say this, that I think it was Wayne Carey made the observation, unless you've got a chance of winning possession, it's silly. You're just sort of acting courageous for the sake of it. But I sort of felt that was a bit harsh because sometimes it's impossible to weigh up the situation, particularly when you're not both going in the same direction. You're coming at it from opposite angles. You can't sort of weigh up, well, if I have a crack at this, am I going to get there before, after, or at the same time? It's like we try to slow down the decision-making process. You don't really get time to make a decision. It's purely instinct. So, that's how I saw it.
Could not agree more, Wayne Carey. This time I am in your corner. Why? Because I watched Max Hutchton play a career very similar to Dode. They fearless. You played at full forward. Any football I played was impinged upon, I've got to admit, the fear of that ball in the air where you've just got to stand there. That's to me is super courage. Now, going with the flight of the ball, etc., I watched enough of Max Hutchton to see him knock over his own teammates, knock over players, balls spilling. It is such a wild. It's courageous, but it is such a wild, not rehearsed, but I mean, it's uninhibited, but it also is reckless to the game plan. It's like, I'm just going to knock all the pins down and the ball will go somewhere. We'll see what happens. Because Duday's a really good intercept mark. he shouldn't be just flying back and whatever. He'll injure himself, he'll injure a teammate. But the thing is, he's got no control what happens to the ball next.
Yeah, sorry, when I'm smiling there, it's like I've seen a comment that made me laugh. Good stat from Thorpe Van Dam. Merritt, 108 score involvements this season. That ranks 10th in the AFL. Parrish, 121. That puts him third. And McDonald Tipungwuti, 102, which puts him 18th. Robert Forbes didn't like the commentary tonight. Yeah, it's same as usual, I thought. He feels sorry for Daisy. I think we all do. Robert Rice, thoughts on Geelong managing Selwood and Dowhouse this week? As a Cats fan, I'm hesitant about it, as this week's game against Carlton is the kind of game I've seen them lose in the last few years. True.
Yeah, they're not managing Dowhouse, by the way.
What's wrong with him?
He's been dropped. They can say managed because out of respect for what he's done for the club, and et cetera, et cetera. He's had 3 kicks in the last 2 weeks, Rowan.
Has he done that much for the club? Like, I wouldn't have thought.
I'm saying, but he's been dropped. But I'm saying out of respect, out of not respect, but out of maybe some players respond well to being dropped, and maybe others don't. Maybe others, start to feel, start to lose the drive and feel that they're slipping away from the best 22 and pack it in. But of course, he's been dropped. Have a look at his last 2 games.
All right, keep going. Not a lot of love for the idea of Mason Cox going to Essendon.
Imagine the club that took Mason Cox, and he could be handy for a club, but nobody wants him at their club because every supporter who's not a Collingwood supporter has at some point dished out on him in a terrible way, to Collingwood mates of theirs.
How do you think it was for Essendon fans when Jeff Rains and Mike Richardson rolled up at the same time?
Oh, that's a really good sort of discussion point. Not that we need to have it, but maybe off the SMS, people can say, who are players that you just, when they came to your club, you just shook your head and said, oh, this is embarrassing, or this is going to make, I'm contradicting myself now, saying I like this bloke, because we had an Essendon player that I couldn't stand. And when I heard Tony Antrobus was playing for St Kilda, I was, very compromised as a football supporter.
Yeah, we didn't see the best of him. I'll tell you, his best was pretty damn good. I'll tell you, one of the I'll say it quickly. I still remember this because I wrote a column about it. I used to do a tactics column for The Age, and I think it was the 3rd round of 1989, one of the rare times in his spell at Essendon where Tony Antrobus was fit or not injured. And Hawthorn played Essendon at Princes Park, and Johnny Platten and Tony Antrobus went head-to-head for the whole game, and it was fantastic. They both played really well, and it was just a terrific duel. And I saw enough footy that Antrobus played for North Adelaide, and he could play. He could really play.
At St Kilda, he fell over more times than the last bloke out of the pub. Fair dinkum, he could not stand up.
Yeah, well, the mullet was pretty heavy. Robert Forbes, Rory. I love Finey is one comment. It's from Rory.
So you got my SMS.
No, it's from Rory Loft. I was going to say it's from Natalie Fine, but then I thought, no,
it's not. Not tonight.
So Rory Loft loves you, Finey. Robert Forbes. Robert Forbes got a good question. He says, "Where is Big Mouth Trout from Wood End? Essendon are on top of Richmond on the ladder at the moment."
He's been regularly on this program, Trout, including the last 2 losses for Richmond. So we can't knock.
He bobs up on my Facebook page the other week, and I sort of gave him a fairly softy sort of slap down, and he got really hurt about it. So I had to sort of make it up for him. No, he's a very, very passionate supporter. All right, where else are we going? People talking about embarrassing recruits. Rory Loft wasn't a fan of Justin Murphy and Scott Camporelli at Essendon. We've lost Finey. Great. All right, I'm going to soldier on my own until Finey recharges his phone or whatever it is he does. He moves in mysterious ways, as I'm sure viewers of this program are aware. Damon's desperate to get. Well, I might get you in on the discussion, Damon, because I don't really fancy talking to myself for that much. All right, embarrassing selections. Chris Manuel, not keen on the Bulldogs getting Travis Cloke. Leroy Jones wanted to ask Finey, what about when Jezza arrived at St Kilda? I think that one was pretty popular, wasn't it? Doc Wheeldon at Essendon, says Philip Van Der. Well, he never got to play a senior game. Apparently he was in cracking form, and then he broke his leg crossing King Street late at night after being at one of the nightclubs. I think that was back in about 1996. Thanks, 1138 says, tonight's tipping game, please nothing cryptic or overly bookish. It's late Friday night. Elle says, we can only see RoCo's shoulder and someone's head. Have we fixed that one up at least, Damon? Okay, all fixed. Now, can someone please send me some more questions, because I can't just keep ad-libbing. And we'll find out, but I'm giving you the tip right now. Finey's phone has run out of charge and he's coming back apparently. But he's unable to appear on camera and charge his phone at the same time. Of course, he could always charge his phone before we do this, given that, we've got about a week to prepare. But, why not fly by the seat of our pants? Any more questions, anyone? I'll answer them. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, and I might just run through the tips myself. Finey's trying to connect, still not happening. Now he's connected and he's sideways. All right. While he gets his act together, thoughts on Perkins' game? Yeah, terrific. Best game he's played for the Bombers so far.
I'm a returnee, I believe.
Okay, Finey. Would you care to explain to everyone, including me, what happened there?
Well, we've had a dropout in the house. I guess
that so can you didn't run out of charge?
Nope.
Oh, I was tipping that's what it was. Nope. All right. Okay, well, all good. How is your charge, just while we're sorting out technical glitches?
No, there's charge.
All good. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
But I have gone from, it is that thing that I did check my phone. I was on Wi-Fi, so I'm now on
4G.
Yeah, 4G. And maybe that's a mistake. I should have attended to that before, because for some reason, I don't know, why is Wi-Fi inferior to 4G? I don't know.
Depends where you're living.
Yeah.
Maybe just scoot a little bit to your left.
Yep. How's that?
That's good. That's perfect. All right. Let's go. Thomas Sanchez says, Laverde, amazing again. He is, if you were drawing up a list of most improved players in the AFL, he would be, for mine, in the top 4 or 5 easily.
Yep. And didn't you point out on Twitter a couple of weeks ago to some, I don't know whether it was a website or something.
Oh, no, it was the Herald Sun.
Somewhere said that he was in the 3 worst players that have gone backwards.
That was just a bizarre thing. I don't know if it was straight off stats. They were just looking at champion data ratings points or whatever. Well, his ratings points aren't as high because he's playing in a bloody backline and not kicking goals. It was just...
Isn't that atrocious journalism then?
I couldn't believe it, to be honest. And it was, I won't say who it was, but it was a couple of journos whose work I think is usually pretty decent. So it was sort of like, did you not look at those names and think, hang on, this guy's had a pretty good season. He can't be gone backwards. Gone backwards was the tag it was under. Outrageous. Robert Rice asked, did Melbourne's forward line work better with Ben Brown in the team? Finey?
They had a good win. I'm not sold, but the functionality was good. Look, Petrarca tore them a new one, and Cozzy Pickett returned back to, because we spoke about Cozzy Pickett, that everything he did was as good as earlier on in the season, but he just was doing about half as much. So that was a huge difference. The good thing is that Ben Brown his involvements were not seemingly clumsy or costing the team in their ball movement. So the thing is, he must be persisted with. You can't just put him in and out of the team.
I was just thinking, geez, Tom McDonald, that little burst of 2 goals in the third quarter at a critical time. Gee, he's having a really good season. Someone was speculating on Twitter about how he'd work alongside Ben Brown, given that, and this was news to me, apparently Tom McDonald is a bit of appeared on the Young IPA podcast. And for those unfamiliar, the IPA is the Institute of Public Affairs, a let's say, corporate-minded, libertarian-type think tank funded by Gina Reinhart. And he appeared on there to talk about Jordan Peterson, the controversial Canadian author and academic. And Ben Brown, of course, a vegan and from Tassie and a bit, sort of left of centre, I think it's fair to say, politically. So I think you can still play in the football team together. I mean, Don Scott and Lee Matthews famously weren't great fans of each other, but were a pretty effective ruck rover combination.
Yeah, look, let's see how it works. Isn't Tom McDonald good at playing in those bursts? That to me is a bit of a trademark of how he plays his football. That keep him out of the game, because often one goal gets you another or another again with Tom McDonald. He's a bit of a in bunches type footballer. That's good.
Oh, he's had a great season. I'll tell you what, look, they really, I halfway through that game, I just found myself saying, why did I tip Port Adelaide? Because I know Melbourne's got a good track record of having those sorts of good, difficult on-the-road wins over the last few years. And I know Port struggled against top teams, and I fell for it. I just thought, well, they've got to make a statement this time. But it just had that feeling all night, didn't it? Even when Port got within a couple of goals, you thought, Melbourne's going to see this off, and they did it very effectively, I think.
Port Adelaide should change their official name, by the way.
To what?
Port Adelaide, and then, after Port Adelaide, it should be LTD.
Why?
Well, that stands for limited.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They are limited.
I just think that they are limited. They don't have much scope.
I tell you when they're not limited, and someone made this observation, and it's a fair one, I think, that they're not limited when they've got Rosie playing well, Dersma in the side, and Butters in the side and fit. Willem Drew has really come on.
But Willem, do you want me to do it? You do the Willem who?
Willem Drew. Our producer got him first.
Yeah, that's right. But all of those players, Rosie, Butters, and maybe with the exception of Drew now, but their midfield is where they're limited. Because Ollie Wines has had a great season.
He has.
Boak, not as good as last year, obviously. He was second in the Brownlow, but not terrible. I mean, he does age. He has to start to come down the other side of the mountain eventually. But there's not enough depth in that midfield role.
No. Well, I mean, you sort of felt like there was at one stage when Rockcliffe was part of it, sort of playing decent footy. In fact, I heard them talk. What's Rockcliffe's injury at the moment? It was something a bit weird.
No, but when he wasn't injured, they weren't playing him.
No, but there was a period there where he was going, all right, someone can tell me what is wrong with Rockcliffe at the moment, because I heard them talking about it and I thought, no, that's a bit weird. Do you think, what about Zach Butters? Do you think he's sort of universally accepted as a key player in that lineup?
Am I supposed to say I can't believe it's...
No.
Or do I say, no. Butters?
Everyone knows it's Butters. That's me.
Okay.
Deep vein thrombosis. That's it. I knew it was something weird.
Yeah. Okay, so
that was from Dion Stannard. Thanks, Dion.
Okay. So Port Adelaide LTD have Zach Butters and
DVT.
Rockcliffe out with DVT.
Yeah. And then there's someone who's very resistant to modern technology, so they're called DVD.
That's a Luddite.
That's you.
That's me. That's me.
How's your email account going?
I can see that pillow still on the couch, Mr. Tomorrow.
Oh, it is too. I haven't lay down. I haven't laid my head on it recently. Actually, I've got to start remembering that your whole sort of private life is on show here. Is there
That's right.
Is there anything incriminating? I'll tell you what. If anyone's ever see that little blue box there?
That looks like it's got a marital aid. It looks like a big marital aid. It does. From where I'm sitting, it looks like a box with a. What's the picture on it?
You didn't have to drag it down to that. No, I'll tell you what it is. This is quite embarrassing. Not like that. That is actually a turntable that my two children gave me for Christmas, and it's still got the bubble wrap on it because I just haven't had a chance to well, I have, but I just haven't got around to unwrapping it. And it's great. You plug it into your computer and you can just transfer all your vinyl to computer. So it's a fantastic thing, but I haven't got around to using it yet. I will,
just on marital aids. What a ridiculous term. No, I'm just talking about the term. I don't need to discuss that.
Okay, good.
I mean, they're called sex toys. I understand that. But a marital aid. Imagine, look, we're having problems in our marriage, so I bought her this. I just don't see it as a great, as a panacea to some of the problems in marriage.
No, you know what, a much better, and I speak from experience here, a much better marital aid from a male perspective, doing the vacuuming and helping with the housework.
Exactly. Imagine that. He doesn't help around the house. He doesn't do anything. What's he doing to aid the marriage? Well, have a look at this. It's ridiculous, a marital aid.
All right, let's get on with it. Suds McDuff, I like that name. Says, where does Rory Sloane rank on the list of players from opposition teams you can't help but like? Yeah, pretty high.
Yeah, 42nd, I think.
Don't like Rory Sloane?
Yeah, but like, how do you put a number to it? I don't know.
Well, who's the very obvious number one?
Player from another team that you have to like.
Yeah.
For me, I like a lot of the Brisbane players, but how can you not like Hugh McCluggage? I watch him play. He's just a nice kid. He seems like a really good player. Liam Ryan, I love watching him play.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say in terms of watchability and popularity and the good bloke factor, surely Eddie Betts is number one.
Eddie Betts. People will say, no, I hate this player. I love watching, even against St Kilda, Buddy Franklin. You've got a player who absolutely, at whatever age he is, with however long out of the game, steps in straight away, and you could almost make an argument that he's the most, not best player in the comp, but he's the most dangerous player out there and the most likely match winner on any given day.
Well, I remember about 2012, I reckon, interviewing Cale Hooker, and it was just, he was just starting to really improve, and did a piece on him, and I asked him about, the thing everyone then knew him for, trailing along in Buddy's wake. And I remember even him saying, I've got to be honest, as I was flailing along behind him, thinking, geez, he's a good mover, isn't he?
Great, isn't it?
And the other thing about Buddy is, like, he has a certain swagger about him, but I don't think you ever look at him and go, oh, this guy's completely full of himself. He just, he's confident, but I don't think, and he is a hard worker, and he's universally popular with his teammates. I can remember the Hawthorn guys loved him,
Oh, as he's got older, he seems to enjoy football. There were some moments in the first chapters of his career at Hawthorn where he was the petulant champion, in that if he made a lead and you didn't kick it to him, you could read it on his face. But he's matured out of that, hasn't he? So I like that.
Well, given that he debuted about 38 years ago, yeah.
So I want to run a comment that I made to somebody past you, and I do believe this. Probably a major insult in the game for a player would be if somebody had the tag, the most overrated player in the competition. Yeah. That would be considered a broadside, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon that there's a player who plays for Sydney who's good to very good and the most overrated player in the competition.
Tell me why you think he's overrated.
Because he just does not get the ball enough. At this stage of his career, he should not be camped in the forward pocket.
Isaac Heaney.
Yeah, he is so loved. You know, there are special comments people, whenever he takes a mark, they say, oh, he's magnificent. Look, he's good. He is good, don't get me wrong. So I'm not saying that he's crap, but they speak of him. About 3 weeks ago, he kicked 3 or 4 goals, which he does twice a year, maybe.
I always think, go on.
And again, we had it. We had this kid. He has got everything. That is the absolute. Look how he marks. Look how he marks. They sing effusive about him, don't they? So
I think there's a few questions being asked about him now. I heard over the last couple of weeks. I always look at him and think he should be playing the sort of year 12 heartthrob in Home and Away.
He
should be, if they ever do a remake of Puberty Blues, you know, he should be in that. Don't you reckon he's got that sort of Sydney surfer look about him?
He does. It's a great story. He comes from Newcastle, where Australian rules football. Some people were told that he played Australian rules football. You know, Novocastrians said, yeah, but not here because there's no teams. They're in Newcastle until recently. There were people that had not seen football grounds. It is a very, very thinly played sport, but he's lifted its profile. So it's a great story. But Rowan, at this stage of his career, why is he still camped in the forward line? And if you did his, that tracker on the back that they wear, he's like a car that's, only gets to the driveway. I don't know if I want to buy it. It's 2 years old, but it's only done 4,000 Ks. I mean, he does not have a lot of miles on the tank, on the odometer.
No, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, I think, they've had issues scoring goals in the last couple of years, so they've sort of had to move him back there more permanently as a necessity. And I think the other one is that with the emergence, particularly this year, of Callum Mills, speaking about most improved players in the comp, Callum Mills, but the other younger guys, like Chad Warner, they're not, it's not such a necessity to have him in the midfield. It is more of a necessity to have him up forward, and he's sort of got caught a bit, in betwixt and between.
Yeah, okay, and that's fair enough. He's a very good forward, and believe me, when you play against Sydney and he's playing, you know that they've got an ever-present danger up forward. But, people, maybe the last couple of weeks where he has barely touched the ball, because there was that game 2 weeks ago, that disappointing loss by Sydney. Who did they lose to? Somebody. Hawthorn, yeah. He got his first touch about 20 minutes into the last quarter. It was embarrassing. But so that sort of maybe raised some eyebrows. But I'll tell you what, before then, and who is it? There's one special comments person who cannot, and I think it might be Jason Dunstall, who loves him because of the way he marks the ball. He does float across, he does bend backwards, he is sort of Ken Hunter-like sometimes. But there's more to footy than that.
Could I just ask you, now that we've sort of done the segue into our usual weekly thing about commentators, I'm going to say a phrase, and Finey, you watch your footy through Fox Footy, don't you?
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. I've got so frustrated with commentary of late.
Yeah.
I've tried to do what you do.
Sync it with the radio.
So I did it tonight.
Who'd you listen to?
I listen to SEN because I like Hutto and I like Brett Phillips, and I think Brett's, I like
Brett Phillips calling. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm really
Jared's on. You wouldn't have done it if it was Jared Wakely.
Yeah, I put it on because do you know why? Do you know why I put it on?
Because you didn't want to listen to BT.
No, because I had a radio sort of set up on 1116 SEN, and it was just the first one I did, and I thought, yeah, that call's fine. And also, well done, Brett Phillips. He's now on TV because he's been doing Wimbledon.
Oh,
he's sort of a late night man. He takes over from Todd Woodbridge or whatever, or whoever is no, not Todd Woodbridge. It's the guy from up in Sydney. Anyhow, but he takes over from him about midnight
on Channel 7. on Channel
9, which is good because he's had some of the big games, and more power to him. Very hard worker, Brett. Really, worked hard at his trade, and I really like him. So maybe that's why.
Well done. Could I go on with what I was saying now?
Yeah, cool.
Thanks. So anyway, back to, with the exception of tonight, you watch your footy via Fox Footy, don't you?
Yeah.
And anyone who's out there who watches their footy via Fox Footy, I'm going to say something, and I want you to tell me if you know what I'm talking about. And it is this. I think they've got to make a stand. Does that mean anything to you?
Is it a person?
Yeah. It's in an ad. They do that ad. There's the ad where they wrap up. They do a sort of grab from each show, and so first thing you hear is Robbo on 360 saying, "Gerard, I've got the good news. The teams are back."
Yeah. That's it.
And then there's, I think, Tony Armstrong from Yockeye Footy, which I never actually see on Fox Footy. I don't know, is that at 3 a.m. on Wednesday or something? He says, "To all those who paved the way," and then Brownie bobs up and says something like, I can't remember what he says. And then the one at the end is, "I think they've got to take a stand."
Who says that?
One's watching it now. It's David King. Anyway, anytime that ad comes on now, it just drives me insane. I was going to tweet it tonight. Someone said something about Adelaide, and I just was going to tweet back, "I think they've got to take a stand."
Yeah. I listened to David King at the end of last round, and he was explaining at length why Richmond are falling off the face of the earth, as though it was such clear logic for everybody to see that it shouldn't be a surprise. And I thought, David, there's only one problem with this entire tirade or presentation, because it went for quite a while. You're doing it after the game. Why didn't you do it before the game if it was so friggin' obvious? That there's no skill in applying intelligence after the fact. Because he kept saying it should come as no surprise to people given these numbers. All right, well, tell us before the game, and then you earn kudos for picking it, because I'm pretty sure he picked Richmond to beat Gold Coast.
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, in fairness, I reckon he knows his stuff.
He knows how to read a spreadsheet.
Oh, no, that's a bit unfair.
No, he does know his stuff.
I think he knows his stuff. It's sort of why I like Jason Dunstall so much as a special comments man is that he knows his stuff, but he articulates it in pretty simple terms. And actually, I reckon, I don't know, I've sung her praises a bit, but Daisy, I really like Daisy Pearce's special comments, and I think she does that as well. She makes good observations, but she's making them to the audience rather than sort of looking like she's trying to impress her co-commentators. And I think a few of the other guys spend way too much time doing that. Just a couple of other media. No, go on.
Because also another person who I worked a lot, and he cut his teeth a bit on my program, was the co-caller with BT for Collingwood and Kilda last week, Nigel.
Nigel.
Yeah. And, more power to him as well. I want to run this past you. It's difficult when you talk about females covering AFL football. It's been such a male-dominated area that I understand that those who have got their foot in the door have done so. It's not tokenism. It really is a heck of a lot of hard work. And the trailblazer in terms of commentary is Kelly Underwood. Yeah. And she should be absolutely, recognised for that. But you know what I find interesting? Because there is a backlash against the main commentators at the moment, BT, that funny in-joke type world is not sitting well with people, that people like Jason Bennett and who's one from WA?
Adam Papalia.
They're getting a lot of traction because, and I'm not saying they're not good, but I think they're benefiting from a backlash against the establishment.
No doubt.
I'm not hearing a lot of voices for Kelly, and I think I know why. And it's not her. Look, here's a couple of problems. I think she's got a very strong Australian accent. But it's not the female voice; it's the Australian accent. I'm just running this past you. get your opinion on it. And she certainly can hammer out a cliche. How many times two people have gone for a mark and the forward marks it? Too big, too strong, too good. That can rankle. But she's a great trailblazer. I wonder whether she can, I love her research because she brings stats to the game, not like he's kicked 15 goals against so-and-so. I actually like that she brings a lot of anecdotal stuff. Like, she said it last week, it was a couple of weeks ago, somebody was married in the off-season and the bloke that he was playing not directly on was in the bridal party. One of his opponents was in his, I like that stuff. I think that's well researched.
So what are you asking me?
that do you think that, and it can be cruel, I think her accent has pulled her back. I think we're ready. We don't mind female commentators. I certainly don't mind the female aspect, but she's got that Aussie twang that
she does. I still think a lot. I think football fandom is behind cricket fandom in the acceptance of female commentators, and I think it's interesting because female cricket commentators, there's a few of them now, isn't there? Isha Guha and
they're great.
Alison Mitchell, Lisa Staliker, Mel Jones. And I guess you get used to it and you hear it more frequently, whereas Kelly you're still only going to hear probably once a week, and she's still the only female play-by-play caller.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a difference. I'm a big, we've had female hosts for a while now, but I'm a big Kath Lockman fan. I reckon she's great. And why I reckon she's great, I reckon her knowledge is very good. But why I like her most, it's not necessarily the knowledge. She's just got a really easy manner that doesn't look false and stilted and like I'm trying to be a TV host.
Yeah.
And even a lot of, like Eddie Maguire, for example, has been in TV now nearly 40 years, but Ed, when he talks on TV, still sounds like he's talking on TV. It doesn't just sound like he's talking to you. And I feel like when Kath is hosting or doing whatever, she's just talking naturally, So I'm a big rap for her. I tell you what, Finey, we got into the tips.
Did you know, on my Optus coverage of EPL, there's a female commentator?
Of the EPL games. I can't remember hearing one.
It's when they have like 3 or 4 at the same time.
Okay.
So there's a spread. There's definitely an EPL commentator. She's very good. No problem.
What's her name?
I'll check that. I'll tell you next week. The other thing, just on female commentary, and we've seen this week with that party that the NRL, who was it? St George players had a party or something.
It was. I was reading about him today. What's his name again?
Vaughan.
Yeah, that's it.
Or Vaughan. So apart from Melbourne Storm, who I reckon this Melbourne Storm as the best football club in Australia, then the entire AFL, then 50 lengths back, the rest of the NRL. I was also thinking we've integrated in the AFL quite a few female special comments, Kelly Underwood, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think I've heard many female special comments or anything in NRL.
No, they have Yvonne Sampson, or I think she's married, using a married name now, but she certainly, they've got a lot of boundary riders.
I'll say that's the boundary riders.
Yeah.
He's going in the sin bin. He's coming out of the sin bin.
So that's now, actually, that's an interesting one because in radio, the boundary rider, there's a lot of females now doing it. And as you know, I did boundary riding for, 20 odd years. And I sort of felt like I tried to make it a bit different. Like I tried to throw in a bit of analysis and whatever, and rather than just going so-and-so's coming off with a hamstring. And I feel like now they're using more women doing the boundary, but they're making them revert back to that, you're purely saying who's coming on and off with an injury, which is sort of a backward step in my view.
I mean, I spoke to quite a few boundaries over the last few years, and they love being written by you.
Okay, let's do the tips. What's tonight's device?
All right, well, I had a look at the Freo ins and outs this week.
Yep.
And it was brilliant because Brett Bewley is out for Bailey Banfield. And it was very, very. So I thought the team you select, try and pick the most obscure that can come to mind. Same initial first name, surname, but really try and get an obscure one.
Okay.
It's good, especially if Tommy Tico played footy as well as sort of.
What about Tommy Two-Tone? What was that?
Tommy Tico at the band on the Don Vote, you know.
Hang on, Tommy Two-Tone. Who was the mob that did? Why am I asking you this? Jenny, 8675309. I think it was Tommy Two-Tone. Anyway, Hawthorn playing Fremantle. That's the first game on Saturday. Is at 1:45 p.m. at University of Tasmania Stadium. Darren Prashino has waded in with, I don't know why, because they're not. That is the most ridiculous name in sport, just about, isn't it? Misty Hyman.
Why? She was a good swimmer.
Yeah. Don't. Don't. Whatever you're thinking, don't say it. No. I don't want to know. You're not going to say it. No. Launceston, 140.
Excuse me. Her nickname was Misty Morning because, you get the mist out in the morning. Come on, Buster, get on with it.
Is that it? Okay. All right. Hawthorn playing Fremantle, 1:45 p.m. Saturday afternoon. Leroy Jones is going with Andy Hanquin. That's a very good one.
Very good one. See, that's the sort of thing.
Went on to be a property steward. Okay, who are you going for?
Craig Callaghan.
I don't know. Wasn't he an Adelaide player?
Nope.
Oh, that was... I don't even remember Craig Callaghan.
He was great. He came to St Kilda. He looked like one of the Hart brothers from wrestling.
Oh, he's a bit short and stocky.
Yeah, and he ended up getting a bad injury back in the waffle. But he had that little sort of mustache like that. He came across the year that Hamill came, Capuano came.
All right. Well,
Gary came.
I've got another... oh, no, I don't want to give away my tip, but the player I'm going with also ended up at St Kilda Finey.
Yes.
And my tip for this game...
Let me guess then. Can I guess before you say it?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't take 5 minutes, yeah.
No, well, I'm trying to think. Okay, he ended up at St Kilda.
Yeah.
He could be... he came to St Kilda, but in his last practice game did his knee and never played. Was Michael Moncrief, and I was there that day. He did his knee in a practice game.
Yeah, no, I do.
He was going to play for St Kilda. He would have qualified.
Yeah.
But I am going for... we had quite a few from... I know
good suggestion, El, by the way. I'm not tipping Freo, so I can say this. El says Brad Bootsma.
Very good. Another BB from that club.
Yep. Right, okay. Come on.
I'm trying to work it out. So many players came and left from that team. I don't know. Can you give me a position and then I'll tell you.
Half-back.
A half-back flanker.
I can give you another clue. Played in a grand final, but not a premiership.
Played in a grand final. Not Peter Russo. He's not a double barrel. Gee.
All right. Played in a grand final of the last 10 years.
Oh, so he recently... I was going to get back too far.
No.
Recently... So he recently has... Oh, not recently, but he came to St Kilda from Hawthorn in recent times. Yes, Shane Savage.
Correct.
Well done. That's a good one. That's a tricky one. It doesn't sound the same.
So we're both tipping Hawthorn that game.
No.
Craig Callahan. No, you're tipping Fremantle. Sorry, Craig Callahan. So our tips are Craig Callahan and Shane Savage.
Yep.
Now you get the drift. Next game on the agenda is this bloody AFL app. Jeez, I hate it. Carlton and Geelong at the MCG, 4:35 p.m. Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
By the way, I had. Did I say this last Friday night? No, I didn't. So last Friday night, Geelong played, right? And we talked about the pronunciation of. Oh no, I did mention it. Sorry. I know Hamish McLaughlin won't be watching this, but if you're calling Geelong again, Hamish, it's Max Holmes. It's not Max Holmes. It's Max Holmes. Okay, I had a long chat to his mum during the week. She was a bit miffed about that. She said, "What's he doing?" Anyway, all right. Okay, I presume you've got a tip ready to go in the Carlton Geelong game, Finey.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Michael Mansfield. But he played for both of them. So I can't go for him.
Okay.
Oh, damn it. I just realised he played for both. I've got to think of somebody else. Okay, over to you and I'll come back to me.
All right, well, I'm just going to... We've got some good suggestions coming in. Elle's very good. In fact, Elle says RoCo was right on the 5 minutes. Oh, yeah, for letting Finey. Some other suggestions, Callum Chambers, Luke Livingston, Mick Martin, Elle, Billy Brownless. Yeah, I want to come up with a more obscure one than that.
Yep. I can think of one. Politician.
Neil Trezise.
Come on, mate. You're into politics.
Yeah. Geelong.
Zilligan.
Say it again.
Zilligan. Is it called Zilligan? Z-I-L. Z-I-L-I-D-J-I-A-N.
What's that? Oh, Damien Drum. Yeah. All right. Well, that's yeah, okay. So Finey's going for Damien Drum. I'm still struggling. Geez, I shouldn't be. Oh, come on. This is great viewing.
Come on, you could. There's plenty.
I know. I've got a bit of a blank.
You'll get there.
Got one.
Yes.
George Ganninan.
Well done.
Geelong full forward of a 1950s.
That's very good. See, that's great. It was worth the.
Darren Prascino said he meant Brian Brushfield.
That bastard Brushfield.
K-Rock.
Most highest footy commentator ever.
Serge Silvani, Mark McClure.
Philip Pennell.
Kevin Kirkpatrick. Who's that?
Played for Hawthorn. I don't know.
Are you thinking of Glenn Kilpatrick? Oysters?
Okay. No. But Philip Pennell, you could have, if you're tipping Carlton. Anyhow, we move on.
All right. We do move on. Not quickly enough, but we do. Next game is Saturday evening at the Gabba, Brisbane taking on St Kilda, 7:25 p.m. Who do you like in this one, Finey?
What a pity I'm not going for St Kilda. Do you know St Kilda has the only 2 players in the history of the game with the initials OO?
I didn't know that.
Otto O'Pelt.
Yep.
And Ozzy O'Connell.
Right.
They also have one of the oddest named footballers of all time. Genuine name, Harry H. Horsnail.
Of course.
Played by Groucho Marx.
Which film was that?
No, I'm saying he wasn't. There was a footballer for St Kilda called Harry H. Horsnail.
Leroy Jones' suggestion for the Carlton Geelong game was Shifter Sheehan.
No. All right. So I'm going for, in the Brisbane game, I'm going to go for, that would be too easy.
Elle's got a ripper. I'll tell you what, Elle, we'll have to catch up with you one day, Elle, because your footy knowledge is just superb. Elle's suggestion's a cracker.
So what is it?
Danny Dickfoss.
That is a beauty. That's a very good one. All right. I'm going to go for. So I could go for. There's an obvious one. Interestingly, a player who I've umpired in 2 games of football because he played reserves for Ormond for 2 weeks. Mal Michael.
Oh, Mal, big Mal. Yeah. Well,
Such a nice bloke. Such a nice bloke.
And
he told me off in the game because it was really wet and I paid a mark that was sort of iffy. And he said to me, "Finey, I've won AFL premierships. You don't need to give me marks in the resis here, mate."
Yes, I've got a few Mal Michael stories. Re the Australian International Rules Tour of Ireland in 2004. One day I'll reveal them. Good Supercoach Edge, good suggestion. Cedric Cox.
Another good one, that one, isn't it? That's very good.
Good one. Thanks, 11:38. Paul Pios. So this is robbing me.
Yeah.
I've got to stop looking at them and come up with my own.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yes. Come on, you've got to get one here.
I'm trying.
How about well, they got a player from the Bulldogs. You can go him.
Justin Sherman.
No, champion player with the number in the 50s.
Oh, Michael McLean. Yeah, again, I didn't think of him.
That's true. You didn't. You're going to have to build it your own.
Oh, come on.
Yes, come on. Have you got one?
Not yet. Give me a minute.
What, you're just looking him up? You know,
I am now.
You can use Michael McLean then.
No, I want a better one.
How about?
I could have Dale Dixon.
Yeah, Dale Dixon. That's right.
But I don't want it.
Why not?
Okay, I've got one. Fabian Francis.
That is good. Worth the wait.
Not really, because
not at all.
Worth me looking up on AFL tables.
Yep.
All right, so we're both tipping Brisbane in that one, and we move to Sunday.
Yes.
And we have that that showpiece fixture of the weekend. GWS taking on Gold Coast at Mars Stadium in Ballarat at 12:40 p.m.
So up the road from Ballarat, Horsham's not a million miles away. Did you hear what the temperature was at Horsham overnight?
-2 or
-4. And it gets colder in Ballarat.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what sort of crowd they get. All right, so who do you like there?
Okay, I'm going to go. Well, this will be a challenge. I'm going to go for. Oh, I've got to think. Come on. Harry Himmelberg.
Good. Oh, that's good, kid.
Good. It's like, oh my God, that's bastard. He's taken Harry Himmelberg. How many more are there? Think.
Thinking. I don't think like this. I don't have this sort of Rain Man-ish sort of thing.
Okay, well, that's why it's a fun segment to see you squirm.
Doesn't happen often.
No, just every Friday about this
time. Yes. Very good.
But you can't use it because somebody sent it in. Pity.
But it came from Earl. Earl's on Friday. Chad Corns.
Oh, you know what his real name is? Full name?
Chadwick.
Isn't it Shudley or something? Shudley?
No, it's Graham's middle name is Studley.
Oh, okay.
Graham Studley Corns. Robert Rice has gone with Jesse Joyce, obviously tipping Gold Coast there.
Gold Coast, yes. Yep. Did Jesse Joyce ever hold up a train?
I don't hold up a train. Sorry, yeah, it does. Yeah, it was Jesse James.
Jesse James. Yes. I'm Jesse Joyce on the Gold Coast game, and the train driver goes just piss off.
They probably have to get there on the train.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like Zach Smith's riding along. He's dropped his gun. Like it's just a complete mayhem.
Zach Smith. Okay.
Yeah, the Gold Coast gang.
We better get this over and done with. I'm going to go with Chad Corns.
Okay.
It's not happening for me tonight. Okay, 3:20 p.m. Marvel Stadium on Sunday.
Yep.
We've still got 62 people watching this. Western Bulldogs Western Bulldogs taking on Sydney at Marvel Stadium, 3:20 p.m.
Good game,
Sunday afternoon. Yeah, it's going to be a corker.
What a game this is going to be.
Okay, I'm going with Michael McLean.
That's weak.
No. Okay.
I'm going for Kim Kershaw.
Did he play senior footy with Footscray, did he?
Sydney, South Melbourne, didn't he?
Kim Kershaw? You sure?
Look it up.
I reckon he played for Richmond and Hawthorn.
I thought yeah, but I think he was at South Melbourne as well. I think his daughter's a model.
Yeah, he certainly played for Williamstown.
And
I'm right, Finey, Richmond and Hawthorn.
Okay, he was at South Melbourne, and he has to. He's got a business card that says no relation to Nick on it. That's all it says on the business card.
That's funny. I tell you what, he was. When I was covering the VFA in 1985, he was a very good player for Williamstown.
Yeah. All right. So I'll come up with another one.
El, you're looking them up, El. You got.
Okay, I'm coming up with another one. I'm going to go for.
Okay, I got one for you. My tip is Sadat Sir.
That's a beauty. Yeah, he was a beauty.
That's from El. Got another one from that era. Good one. Good player we've talked about a bit, Finey.
I'm going to go for, and I'm going to be really careful here because they're both correct, but one of them didn't play for him. I'm going to go for, I've got to be careful. I'm going to go for Barry Beecroft or Bob. I don't know. One of them played for South, played for Fitzroy, didn't they?
Correct.
I'm going Barry.
I'm pretty sure I know which one's which too.
I'm going to go Bob Beecroft for South Melbourne.
And I think that's wrong.
Bastard.
I reckon I'll look that up.
Yeah, but then I've got to go again. All right, so now...
Okay, in the meantime, I'll give you a clue.
No, I don't need clues. I'm going to do this all on my Pat Malone. I'll just cast my mind back. I'm going to go for Wayne Walsh.
Oh, very good. Yeah. You sort of don't remember him as a South Melbourne player, do you?
Oh, yeah, definitely played for Richmond and South. He's a good wingman.
Yep.
Wasn't he?
Yep. So that's so you could have had Danny Delray was one I was going to
Yes.
Did you say Bob? I'm sure it wasn't Barry, but I reckon Barry Beecroft was the one that played for South and Bob played for Fitzroy.
Maybe.
Well, I'm looking it up.
They were big kicks, weren't they, the Beecrofts?
Yeah.
They had big kicking boys.
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. Barry at South.
Where were they from? Subiaco or something?
Were they brothers? I guess they must have been, sure.
They weren't sisters. Yeah, they were brothers, weren't they?
Oh, I don't know.
The Beecroft brothers. Doesn't that sound like middle of the road music you'd avoid?
So Finey's going for Sydney. I am going for the Western Bulldogs. So one more game. What am I doing? One more game on Sunday.
Yep.
In the showpiece slot at 4:10 p.m. It is Collingwood taking on Richmond.
Oh, that's a beauty.
All right, I've got one.
Don't say Wayne Walsh.
All right.
Oh, there's
sorry, just quickly. I don't even know how I stumbled on it, but I went down the YouTube rabbit hole again late last night.
Yes.
And ended up watching the last quarter of Essendon Richmond at Windy Hill from 1981, when Richmond were about 26 points up at three-quarter time and Essendon came storming home to win.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the Richmond side and I thought they were the reigning premiers, but geez, they must have been a bit of a hole by that stage because they had playing for them. They had that day, they had Robert Simmons. They had number 12. What was his name?
Schaefer.
No, this is in 1981.
Okay, all right.
Oh God, what was his name? they had the guy with the buzz cut, Graham Robertson, he was playing.
Yep.
And, it'll come to me. Hang on. Number 12 he wore. I can see him running on the ground. Hang on.
Was he big or small?
Sort of medium size. Hang on. I'm going to have it in a minute. It was Colin Waterson.
Oh, I can't remember him.
Matthew Wall.
Yep.
Jeez, they were Michael Nugent.
Yep.
Jesus, how'd they get 26 points in front of us? All right, anyway, so who's your tip?
Who are you going for? Come on, there's an obvious one. A champion who St Kilda rejected. Zoned to St Kilda, came down, played an intra-club, told to leave.
George Gorosidis.
Don't be stupid.
A
superstar. Absolute
okay,
champion.
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Premiership champion, great player in the finals. Truly emblematic of the era he played in.
Jesus.
I speak of none other than Wayne Shand. No, it's not Wayne Shand.
St Kilda did he play at St Kilda?
No. He played an intra-club.
See, that's a curveball I don't need.
Okay, all right. But he's a premiership champion from the very era you were talking
Bill
about,
Barrett.
Rowan. Pardon?
Bill Barrett.
No.
I'm going for Bill Barrett.
No, it's William Barrett. Come on, get on with it.
He was known as Bill.
Oh, look at his birth certificate. Get
All
on with
right,
it.
Michael Malthouse.
All right, fair enough. I'll pay that. I was thinking of Jim Jess. That's my pick.
Well, see, I didn't know he was at St Kilda.
Yeah. Two players we rejected.
Good suggestion from our producer, Relton Roberts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Relton. So two players that came to St Kilda played in a pre-season practice match and were both told to leave. Jim Jess and Stuart Gull.
Oh, Stuart Gull. Okay.
Yep. He's from around the Gull area.
Famous for beating the crap out of Ron Andrews, possibly the only guy ever to do
it's
so.
funny that he's known as, who was it? Like somebody like, one of the real tough men of footy would always say, I could handle himself, Stuart Gull. Very handy, they called him. Very handy, Stuart Gull. And then other people say, Stuart Gull, very successful real estate agent. And I always thought, that's what you want. That's who you want selling your house. Somebody who can, if it gets down to it, somebody who can fight his way through the sale.
I'll tell you what, I reckon I'm on first name terms with virtually every real estate agent in Melbourne at the moment.
Oh, how's it going?
No, it's not. It's not. I've looked at a million places, can't find one to.
Yep.
Perhaps
more game Monday night.
I might be a little bit picky. All right, last game, because we have driven the audience down to 50 something now. Final game Monday evening, Optus Stadium, 7:40 p.m. West Coast taking on North Melbourne.
Okay.
I'm no good at this game.
This game, it's a known game. It's a famous game. You've got to be better at it. I'm sure you can get one here. Oh, you're struggling, are you?
Of course. Shane Sikora.
Thank you.
Who was it? That was L
again. Oh, there you go.
I think L runs AFL tables.
All right, well, I've got to come up with one still.
Good one from Leroy Jones. Dean Dugdale.
Yeah. Now I've got
I've got another one. Sorry, David Dwyer. But I'm not tipping North.
Yeah, but not tipping North, are you? I've got a current player, but I don't want to use current players.
Okay, so I've got another one for you for North. From Phil Van Dam. Galloping gasometer.
No, that's another. That's next. I need all the topics I can get. Don't ruin them.
I did say Shane Sikora, L.
Yeah, good for you.
Mark Miranda again.
Well, they've got their they've got a star currently who's a double barrel.
El's partner played against Shane Sikora.
Okay. Well,
I'm disappointed you've got a partner, El. I thought we were going to fall in love and elope somewhere, go and live in the grandstand at Waverley or something.
I think the person that fell asleep on that couch on that pillow a couple of weeks ago wouldn't be happy to hear your plans.
She won't be watching.
She's rubbish. No, it's not rubbish. So obviously their first ruckman is I could use.
Laurie Keane.
Their current first ruckman.
No, but he was their first ruckman.
Yeah. Their current first ruckman. Their revolving door medical sub I could use.
Oh, of course.
Jermaine Jones.
Jermaine Jones. I thought he was a singer. Sorry.
Yeah. Doesn't Jermaine Jones? He's like he's cashing in on the Quincy Jones and the Jackson family. Just throwing darts at the ball.
Tell me, who honestly hasn't watched Jermaine Jones playing and immediately sort of start going, "Don't stop till you get enough." I know that's not even Jermaine Jackson, but that's what comes into my head.
It's not even Jermaine to the discussion.
No, it could be Jermaine Greer.
She's a double barrel.
She's gone all strange in her old age.
Gone. She didn't have far to travel, but anywho.
She's one of the great thinkers of postmodern feminism.
Of course. Around the hammer and sickle club.
Sorry. Can I tell this story? I've got to tell this story just before you. So I didn't tell you this. Actually. I didn't tell you this. I did. I did a spot on 3AW on Tuesday night with Richard Grubby Stubbs.
Really?
And it was like, news of the day.
Right.
And last time I did it, it was the day they stormed the Capitol. And talkback got a little bit fiery because it's fair to say I wasn't to the taste of the audience. Anyway,
I remember because didn't an old man ring you up and defend you?
Correct, he did. And this time there wasn't much politics discussed. So I thought, it was all seemed to go pretty smoothly. So I thought, that'd be all right. Anyway, the next day, someone sent me a screenshot of a comment on a private Facebook group called Friends of 3AW. And someone had posted, "Can't wait for Tom Elliott to come back. Boy, that Heidi Murphy's really irritating. Also, I can't believe that Grubby invited that Marxist greenie, Rowan Connolly, on the show on Tuesday night. I've never been described as a Marxist greenie before, so I retweeted it.
Yeah, you know what? I don't get involved with Facebook and Twitter, whatever. I found something so offensive written about me or to me a couple of weeks ago. I thought, I reply?
Whereabouts? On Twitter?
Yeah, I think Twitter. I thought, do I reply? Do I bother? Whatever.
So
do I need to explain on how many levels this annoyed me? We were talking about the passing of Edelstein, and we talked about his largesse or whatever. And I said something like, "Well, you've got to give him credit for having a crack at things." I mean, he certainly wasn't. He certainly wasn't constrained by common sense. His imagination, and he did most of us just get out of bed and go through the motions. He certainly had a crack. And that's what I said.
Yeah.
And what somebody said on Twitter? Take your Jewish hat off, Finey. Edelstein was a crook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What? Because does that mean if Rowan, if you defended, say, somebody came up at the tribunal this week and you said you thought he should get off, do I say that's you Christians just all sitting, getting together, and
fair enough.
My Jewish hat is. They talk about the actual Jewish hat, but it's like.
You should have done what I do, Finey. Have a crack back, and then.
Yeah, but it's like how people like that just think immediately in racial terms. He's a Jew. They're all together. Really?
That's not good. All right, let's finish this off.
Okay.
So who are you tipping?
I'm tipping Nick Naitanui.
All right, I'm tipping someone I haven't thought of yet. Let's not do this again. I'm hopeless.
Come on, you'll get it.
I don't think I will.
David Dench. No, you're not going for North.
I'm not going for North. You're going to have to give me a clue.
All right, let's think of one. Or if you're doing nicknames, you could go for, Hetty's nickname.
Well, speaking of which, Johnson Von Trapp just suggested Dirk Diggler from Boogie. Have you not seen Boogie Nights?
Yeah, but didn't you say a footballer looked like Dirk Diggler back in the day? Was it? Or was it another porn star?
No, it's Tom Byron.
You know all the male porn stars for some reason.
I know the 1980s ones. I know the early 1980s ones.
How do you
Tom Byron is Jamie Cripps.
I'm surprised you recognise him by facial features.
Well, I haven't seen Jamie Cripps in the showers. Tom Byron is one of the all-time greats of adult film.
Yeah, but what was his specialty?
He played the young. He played. He played the young sort of impressionable kid. He had a very youthful face. And
is that what drew you to it? There's anything wrong with it? Go for it, mate.
You know what the funny thing is? Like the funny thing is that you watch one the first time, you think, oh, yeah. But I used to there'd be a few of us and we'd watch them. We used to love the dialogue and stuff. It was pretty funny. That was sort of like the high point of adult film as an artistic expression.
Yeah, I mean, I've got that.
Can you just give me a player so we can go?
No, wait. Have I told you the story about when I was at SEN? I was there when they Sexyland started advertising, and those guys came in and they gave us vouchers and that. And the big sale, the big spiel about Sexyland when they started was, it's not like the old, dirty mags behind the curtain store. This is the big mega store.
Oh, Sexyland,
yeah, it's a mega store. It's light and all the staff are completely comfortable with your inquiries. They're just normal people taking normal inquiries. And I took it upon myself, because I had a few vouchers, that when I'd go there, I'd ask questions that surely would make them blush, because you can't say that it's all just normal, right? So I went there, and there was a DVD just near the checkout, and there are quite a few people there. Now, I went to the one in Hallam, and the way the counter is set up, it's a square.
Damon, can we cut this bit?
It's a square with a big pillar in the middle. So there's like 4 counters. So one girl was working at one counter, one was at another. And when I got up to my counter, I said, look, I've grabbed Backdoor Bandits too, but I tend to normally be very disappointed with sequels. Is Backdoor Bandits 2 going to be as good as the original? I found the original excellent. And then from behind the counter, this sort of a voice, but no person, just yelled out, Pirates of the Caribbean 2 was good. I mean, I've got to say, they were true to their form. She was just listening to the conversation and thought, yell out, Pirates of the Caribbean 2 was good, while I'm talking about Backdoor Bandits. I mean, it's true. They really do keep a straight face there. Made it very normal.
Good to know. Do you remember the jingle I used to play on SEN every 5 minutes?
What was it?
Take me now, I could man. Take me now, sexy land.
Yeah.
Except I never got the lyrics for the first couple of years. I thought she was saying, take me now or come in. And I was saying, well, it doesn't make sense. Like, I remember the ad for, late night ad for Strathfield Car Radio that no one ever, it was drive in and drive away, and everyone thought it was drive in and drive away. So you drive in and see
drive away.
This shit house. I'm driving away.
Drive and get lost.
Give me a clue for West Coast player, quick.
Oh, just on that Sexyland thing, they had, they blow up dolls. They had a full male one in latex.
Right.
I went up to the counter and I said, I really like that, but are the balls detachable? Because I like my men castrato. And she looked me straight in the face and she said, I can check with the warehouse. I thought, that is going to be, hello, have we got model 3476 without testicles?
Haven't you seen Woody Allen's Bananas? It's one of the great opening. Bananas is the one where Woody becomes a South American revolutionary, but he's also, the same scene has Sylvester Stallone in his first ever film role as a subway thug, but Woody's in the newsagent and he wants to buy a porno mag and there's too many people in there and he's all embarrassed. So he senses an old woman looking over his shoulder. So he very sort of obviously goes, let's see, I'll take a copy of Harper's and Time Magazine and New York Review, and I'll just take this, and slips it inside the paper. He gets up to the counter and the guy's going, $1.35. And, hey, Bob, how much is orgasm? This guy wants to buy a copy.
That's good.
Bananas is great movie.
Yeah. Okay, so we need a West Coast player.
Very quickly.
How many have we still got watching?
46. We have scared them off.
Hey,
they've all gone off to look up bananas.
As you might know, if you know the great movie 24 Hour Party People.
I have seen it, but I can't remember.
Sex Pistols' first concert, there were only 42 people turned up.
Oh, there you go. So we've got a bigger crowd than them.
Yeah, but have a look at the 42 people. Have a look at some of the people that were there. It's amazing.
Elle says, how do we get to talking about Sexyland or Footyology? Elle, the answer is because this is Footyology. That's what we do.
All right, so how about you need a double barreler from West Coast?
How about double barrel? Now everything's going to sound like a double entendre.
How about
I did say Shane Sakura, but it's got to...
you
haven't got one either.
Well, I went Nick Nat Nui.
Paul says, Finey, pick a player so we can all go to bed. FFS.
FFS. Fabian Francis. No, I know what FFS stands for. The middle word.
I've got one. Callum Chambers.
Pardon?
Callum Chambers.
Oh yeah, he had that sort of funny long body, short of legs, longer body.
Yeah, and ended up at Carlton too, I think.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. We're winding it up there. Go to bed, everyone.
All right.
No, just wait till I sign off before you go to bed, Finey. Thanks, everyone. We'll be doing the wrap-up of round 17. Actually, this will be up as an audio podcast if you want to hear it again.
What's the capital of Sexyland? I know the country is located on the Cape, at Cape Horn. But what is the capital?
Can we do this after we sign off?
No, what's the capital of Sexyland?
I don't know.
The country.
I don't know, but I don't know. You think on it. All right, so we'll be doing the podcast Sunday night, the review of round 17. This will be up as an audio podcast in case you need to subject it to anyone to it. And apart from that, good luck, everyone. Hope your team has a win on the weekend. Actually, I don't care because my team's already had a win, so I'm quite happy with that. And also, if you've got an answer for what is the capital of Sexyland, just drop us a note at Footyology and we'll get back to you.
I know there's a small
okay, no, we've got one. We've got a couple of suggestions. LJ Meyer says Phallic City, and Johnson Von Trapp's gone with Longville.
Yeah, I know there's a small town called Clitoris, but it's very hard to find.
Very good. Very good. Somewhere in the Greek islands. Yeah, I was thinking of that.
The lost city of Clitoris.
I'm going with Burrumbut. All right. On that suitably debauched note, we bid you farewell. Have a good weekend, everyone.